Welcome to Beyond the Sports Headlines, your source for stories in North American sports with Rick and Craig. Hello, sports fans. Craig here, and direct from beautiful Wanapate, out of his garden, I'm sure, we have Rick Wyman back with us. Rick, how are you tonight?
Guest appearance Sunday night. That's how it normally works in some cases. No, it's a beautiful day, not stinking hot like it was last week. So you know what I say? That's A plus for a Sunday evening. That's great.
Yeah, I think it's been a pretty good day. And it's a funny thing. We've had one big story this week, of course, Canada at the World Cup, but that doesn't mean that that was the only story. And we're going to try to clean up a few things that I found on the floor. That is the sports floor that are very important. And we're going to start tonight with a little bit of basketball. The Toronto Raptors back in the headlines. They bring one of their heroes from yesteryear, Kawhi Leonard, about to be reacquired from the Los Angeles Clippers. Big package going the other way. Grady Dick, Brandon Ingram, draft picks. Rick, what was your reaction when you found out that the Raptors were reacquiring Kawhi Leonard?
I like it. I like it a lot. I still question as to why Kawhi left in the first place because, as you know, he could have had Toronto. That could have been his oyster coming off that world championship several years ago. But no, he opted for what he deemed greener pastures, playing with the Clippers. And at the time, I thought that was somewhat treasonous. But he's coming back. And the thing is, I think that's going to be a big plus, even at 35 for his age, to don the Raptor colors once again. And I think it's a big step in terms of getting the Raptors to that next level.
Yeah, people don't realize Kawhi can still play. He may be 35, but last year was one of his best seasons. He was all second team NBA, so the Raptors are bringing a legitimate star onto their lineup.
Well, and the thing is, you take a look at what he's going to be playing with in Toronto. I would think that compared to the Clippers, he's in for a half decent season. I mean, he's got Scotty Barnes and countless others, but to me, Scotty Barnes is going to learn a lot from Kawhi and vice versa in terms of getting Scotty to take that next step to the superstar level that he is. I mean, he's very good. He still has really some learning and some growth to go before he can be deemed that star, that guy, that leader, that franchise player in Toronto.
I think you may have a situation, Rick, where you may have two superstars. I think that Scotty Barnes may grow into that, and I think that Kawhi Leonard will be a big part in that development. But I'm sure that Scotty Barnes was absolutely delighted. He's got someone to share the burden now. If you noticed in the playoffs last year, he was double teamed frequently, and next year opponents won't have that luxury. You won't be able to double team both Scotty Barnes and Kawhi Leonard. So I think it was a great move from the Raptors from that perspective.
And what about getting LeBron to add a little icing on the cake? He said last week he doesn't want to play in Los Angeles. So I'm thinking, come to Toronto, 42 years of age, everywhere he goes, he wins a championship. Wouldn't that be nice?
It
LeBron
would
coming
be,
to Toronto.
it would be, but here's the thing. The Raptors are already close to the first apron as far as salary goes. So LeBron would have to take the veterans minimum. I don't think he's about to take the veterans minimum even to come to Toronto. But let's talk a little bit more about the Raptors because I think there's a trickle down effect on this deal. There's going to be players like Jacoby Walter and Colin Murray Boyles, RJ Barrett, and Emmanuel Quickly, Rick, that'll also benefit from Kawhi Leonard being in town.
How can you not? I mean, the guy's won and he's a proven veteran. He's a leader. He's an all-star player. And the thing is, that can only help the Raptors. And did you notice that series against Cleveland? Good, but not good enough to put the Cavaliers away. And so many times we talked about this last year during the regular season. Start well, lousy finish. Lousy start, mediocre second, third quarter, a much better fourth quarter, in some cases too late. So I think that there's going to be a lot more or better consistency to this mix in the Raptors lineup with Kawhi there. And even if he steps forward and says what he has to say at halftime, or his presence, his character on the court is going to speak volumes for that team and help, because that seems to be the missing ingredient for the Raptors' success. Young enough, they've got some players with experience, but here's the take charge guy. He's going to be the guy in the dressing room. He's going to be the guy in the huddle, even though you have a pretty smart coach, but who's just been re-signed. But still, someone's got to grab the next ring and say, okay, here we go, guys. We're going to do it this way.
Well, Kawhi, as you remember when he was here the first time in the finals against Golden State when they were going out to San Francisco, Nick Nurse said, okay, let's split the games in San Francisco. And Kawhi piped up and said, no, coach, I don't want to split. I want to bleep and sweep in San Francisco. And I think that's the difference. I think that Kawhi Leonard is going to push the players. I think he's going to push the coaching staff. And I think he's going to push the fan base. And I think that's what Kawhi brings. He's a man of few words, as we both know. But when Kawhi speaks, I think people have a great tendency to listen. And I think that's just great.
It's a move that, is going to help the Raptors long term because after Kawhi is gone, players that are left are going to be the benefactors of his tenure in Toronto the second time around.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So let's ask the logical question that has been asked a few times. But of course, we have your good friends, the New York Knicks. They're at the top of the mountain. Now the Raptors have acquired Kawhi Leonard. I see that the Philadelphia 76ers, they acquired Jaylen Brown. How good is this Raptors team? Can they challenge for an Eastern Conference final? Can they make it over the hump and get to the NBA Finals?
Well, as the Knicks linger in the glory of an NBA title, I mean, a lot of people are probably saying to themselves, there's no chance this Knicks team can win again next year. Not so fast. New York, Cleveland's going to be better. You mentioned Philly, Boston. It's not going to be easy pickings in the East again this year. But the thing is, I fully expect, and I think we talked about this earlier, that we fully expect the Raptors to be a much better team. Are they going to win the East? That's debatable right now. We'll have to see how everything plays out over the course of, the onset of the season and what have you, and how this team looks. But competitive, yes. I firmly believe they will be competitive. Will they be a dominant team in the East? Not necessarily, but they'll put up a good fight in the East this year. It's not going to be a cakewalk for anyone. So again, a new member to the club this year, and Philly, chomping at the bit to be better as well. It's been a long time for Philly, so why not? Let's add some oomph to that NBA East.
There's a lot of movement in the Eastern Conference. Let me tell you, if Joel Embiid can ever put together a half decent season where he's healthy, Philly can't be discounted either. So, I look at it like this. I think the East is wide open. And I will say one thing about the New York Knicks, and I'm not disrespecting their well-earned title. And I mean that sincerely. But
Hopefully.
what I will say is this, it's a lot different when you are the hunted as opposed to the hunter. And
Yes.
everybody will bring the Knicks their best game. So, the Knicks are not what I would call surefire favorites. Are they one of the favorites? Yes. Are they surefire favorites? I don't know. I think there's a few teams that could trip them up in the playoffs.
Well, this could be a one and done scenario too, Craig. Don't forget that about the New York Knicks. I mean, this could be the rise to the top, and the descent could be perilous, if I can use that word, for the Knicks, because the thing is, they rose to the occasion. A lot of people didn't expect the Knicks to do so, but they emerged victorious. And the thing is, again, it's not going to be, as you had stated earlier, an easy road to success for the Knicks this time around, because they will be hunted. And some nights they're going to wonder, was it worth the cost of winning? And they're going to say yes, but the thing is, you learn from your situation where you win and when you lose. And the thing is, they've learned a lot the last couple of years. Maybe it's all coming together where this New York franchise finally has some momentum to be successful over the course of not just 1 year, but several years.
I have to see. The other thing that you alluded to earlier, I wanted to touch on it. Darko Rajakovic got a contract extension. I think it was well-deserved. How do you feel that Darko Rajakovic will do with a new star player on his roster?
He's got to be licking his lips. I honestly believe that he's finally got some star material in his lineup to deal with. And the thing is, I'm sure there'll be a lot of consultation. Darko and Kawhi are going to work in tandem. I mean, you're not going to teach Kawhi anything new. He's been there, done that as a pro. I mean, Darko's a smart man himself, but the thing is, I think it's a good fit. They extended his contract. If the Raptors weren't sure about him as a coach, they never would have extended him. So I think that speaks volumes as to what he means and what he can do for the organization. He's been great in terms of team development. I like the way he carries himself in the post-game pressers. He's very frank. He'll look at the stats, and the thing is, he's another one that he's just like me. I mean, the stats don't lie, Craig. When you see the game sheet at the end of the night, and he points that out quite eloquently, and being able to break down the game and say, this is how we didn't win. because of what happened on the floor.
That's right, exactly. No, I'm happy for Darko Rakovic. I think he earned his extension, and I think he'll do a fine job with a much improved roster. And I'm very excited about the upcoming NBA season. Let me tell you, it's going to be a lot of fun from game 1 to 82. And as Kawhi once said, the season starts in the playoffs, and that's going to be the acid test. So let's move on to topic number 2, NHL free agency. Now, I went through the NHL free agents that were signed the other day. And, this seems to me like free agent frenzy is sort of like the trade deadline. The only difference is the general managers get to spend money. And I gave you the story of the kid who was given $20 to go to the store by his parents. And, you tell the kid, look, we need pasta, we need pickles, we need whatever and whatever and whatever. And you're expecting change. So the kid brings back everything you need. And you go, where's my change? And the kid goes, well, what do you mean? You didn't ask for change. I don't have any change. And to me, that's what the NHL free agent frenzy is kind of like. Don't you agree?
That, and remember prom night when you'd get all dolled up and you'd ask, I don't know, maybe the most popular girl in the class. And you know what? You weren't the guy, but she was the girl. You spend all kinds of money, take her to the prom. Yeah, you have a half decent time. Then she leaves with someone else. That's what I think of free agent friends, because you've got teams playing off each other and contracts. And the thing is, you're not necessarily going to get to go home with the girl that you brought to the prom. So
That's
the
the
thing is,
truth.
again, it's one of those factors where there are a lot of misgivings in terms of talk and speculation. And the thing is, some of the stupid money, as we talked about before, that was tossed about before. I mean, it's like, okay, there's no rhyme, no reason. You want to go ahead and pay someone $5-10 million a year? That's your prerogative. Is it necessarily going to work out? And we'll get to the Bobrovsky situation here momentarily. I'm not using that as a clear-cut indicator, but the thing is, when you have money, space money, cap money, you tend to be a little foolish at times, and that's a problem. So again, it all depends on how you value your money. People have a tendency sometimes to be somewhat frivolous, and good contracts, bad contracts. Bobrovsky, we'll talk about that in just a moment with the Leafs. But again, it's one of those things. Players, agents play the leverage game off each other. And the thing is, they're looking for the best deal possible for their client. Is it necessarily good? I don't know. It's kind of like the offer sheet that Leo Carlson was offered, to switch teams as well, that Anaheim still has to, counter or just say goodbye and take 4 draft picks. But the thing is, you're shopping in some cases, but you're not necessarily going to get what you think you're going to get.
Yeah, we're going to talk about both of those things in a moment here, but let's talk first about the Toronto Maple Leafs, because new general manager John Shaka, man, he has shaken things up. I have a list of who the Leafs signed, and I'm not going to go through everyone, but I'll make a quick list for you. Sergei Bobrovsky, Colton Sissons, Teddy Bluger, Jack Roslovic, Zach McEwen. Wow. And Brandon Duhaime. So my question is, after all that money is spent and all those players are signed, are the Leafs any better than where they were at the end of last season?
Marginally.
Yeah.
Marginally. Roslovic has never broken the bank in terms of his potential and goal scoring ability. He's bounced around Winnipeg, Columbus, and what have you. So now he's a member of the Maple Leaf organization. The only good signing that I really liked was Bobrovsky. I mean, they weren't crazy about their goaltending last year, but here's a guy for 3 years when you think about it. He's going to come in and stabilize that net. He's going to face a totally different situation playing in goal, but the thing is, he's going to be a leader between the pipes. If you can get, 50, 55 games from him, maybe? Let's not get
I'd
greedy.
say
Let's
50.
go with 50. 50. Let's go with 50. He's going to be instrumental in stealing some games, and the Leafs didn't have that last year.
Yeah,
He's going
I
to be
would agree.
he's going to be worth his money in the first 2 years. Year number 3, you're going to get 2 good years out of him. Third year, we'll have to see what happens after all. I mean, he is getting up there. Like, we'll have to see, but I think that's a big win. Some of the other guys, marginal players, might help, could help, should help. I don't know. They couldn't get rid of Morgan Riley in the offseason. And the thing is, what does that say when, your best defenseman a couple of years ago can't be moved anywhere? So Are the Leafs going to be any better? It's going to be wide open in the East as usual. I mean, can the Leafs get any worse than what they were last year? I mean, for the organization's sake, they're hoping that they can't, that there is an improvement, and we'll see. I mean, my biggest question is Gavin McKenna.
Yep, I
What's he
agree.
going to do?
Well, I think he's going to make the team, but here's the question. How effective is he going to be?
Bingo.
And that's the thing that keeps rolling around in my mind. Yes, you're going to play with the Austin Matthews more than likely. But, Austin Matthews, for all his misgivings as a player, this guy is a superstar. He's not going to take kindly to some rookie who's struggling. And you can be rest assured that he's going to tell Jim Hiller, and Jim Hiller is going to notice if Gavin McKenna can't keep up. And if that's the case, I don't know if Austin Matthews is going to be very happy.
Okay, remember, Connor Bedard didn't have Austin Matthews to play with when he first went to Chicago a couple of years ago. Year 2 was okay. The excitement wore off after year 1. The thing is, how do you match him up? If he's playing with Austin Matthews, he's going to have a chance at a half-decent season. Just give Matthews the puck. Be the setup guy. Just do what you can. Don't forget, the opposition is going to run him like nobody's business, and they're going to test Gavin McKenna.
Guaranteed. I mean, yes, he's going to be the distributor on the line. There's no doubt about it. And you can be rest assured there's a lot of tough teams in the Eastern Conference, and Gavin McKenna is going to face a lot more body contact than he ever faced, 1, in junior hockey and 2, in the NCAA. So let's go to the second topic. You alluded to it a little bit earlier. Leo Carlson, good player in Anaheim, young center, 21 years old. He signs a 5-year, $90 million offer sheet with the Philadelphia Flyers. And of course, as you know, the Ducks have 1 week to match. So you pay $18 million, you keep the player. You don't, he goes to Philly for 4 first-round picks. Pretty interesting set of circumstances there, Rick.
I like that. I like it because I think it really makes organizations leery in some aspects, bold in another, in going out and getting a player who's already been developed, who's already proven what he can do on the ice. And the thing is, Leo Carlson has obviously shown enough ability to warrant that kind of contract. So the thing is, you never drafted him, you're going out to get him. And really, when you think about it, Craig, we've talked about the value of first-round picks, long-term projection.
Yes.
3 to 5 years. So the thing is, now you're getting an impact player. So you want Leo Carlson playing with whomever in the Philly lineup. I mean, Flyer fans like it. They don't care about the first-round picks. They just want to see some movement and some improvement from last year. And there's a lot of potential there, too.
Absolutely. And Leo Carlson, 67 points in 70 games. This guy is getting pretty close to a number 1 center. And you and I both know that number 1 centers, they're not available on the trade market, and they're very seldom available on the free agent market. So
I just want to say one thing, Craig. This saves a lot of development for teams. When someone else is going to do all the dirty work and develop a player for you and put them in situations where they're going to learn and grow, this is great. So what? It costs you 4 first-round picks.
And I'll tell you, I looked at the Ducks' salary situation. The Ducks still have to sign Cutter Gauthier. And Cutter Gauthier, a restricted free agent, 40-goal scorer, he's not going to come cheap. And the Ducks have about $9 million on their cap. So this is going to take a lot of finagling by Pat Verbeek, and I say good luck to him. I think there's a pretty good chance that Leo Carlson may have a new address next season.
Doesn't Cutter Gauthier have some kind of tie to Sudbury? Somebody had mentioned that in passing to me.
Yes, in fact, his dad is from here. So, Cutter Gauthier has a local connection.
There we go. A Sudbury boy. Well, he's not a Sudbury boy. He wasn't born here, but there's a connection.
There is definitely a connection. And, there's another upshot to this Leo Carlson offer sheet. All these young stars, the Macklin Celebrinis and others, if Leo Carlson is worth $18 million a year for 5 years, I asked you this week, how much is Macklin Celebrini worth to the San Jose Sharks?
Well, I didn't believe, you didn't like my initial projection on this conversation.
I did not. You're right.
But now, I mean, if Carlson is going to get this kind of money, this offer, if everything goes according to Hoyle, as they say, then Celebrini maybe 22 million a season. That's what we were talking about, because now if 18 is going to be the standard for young, outstanding talent, what does that say? So let's say 18 is okay. This is where we start. Then we can go 21, 22, 23, 24. And you know what? Which begs to ask, what does Connor McDavid get in 2 years' time?
And what does Cale Makar get in a couple of years?
Are we looking at 25 million, upwards of 25? Well, Who's going to be able to afford a $25 million contract?
Well, that's a great question. And that's the valid point because, you may be able to afford a $25 million contract, but you won't be able to afford a $25 million contract and a $15 million contract. It's going to kill your cap. I don't care if the cap is going up $5 million a year. That's a lot of money, and you've got to be very judicious with your resources. And it's the old stars and scrubs, Rick. You can sign a guy like Macklin Celebrini for $22 million. The next question is in 2 years, what is Michael Misa going to command if Michael Misa develops as expected? What about the first round pick that they acquired this year, who's supposed to be a terrific player? There's only so much money to go around and there's only so much cap. So, I think this situation bears a lot of watching. I think it's going to be extremely interesting, but I do know if I was a young star in the NHL, I would have a really wide grin on my face because somebody's going to pay me. And it looks like they're going to pay me an awful lot of money.
Craig, let's not forget what Montreal's been doing. They signed Demidov to a contract. They've signed their big stars to contracts, long-term contracts, very favorable contracts, which keeps the budget and the team in good stead for the years to come. It's not going to be perfect. I believe it's Suzuki that's going to be the first casualty of a new contract, if you can call it that, the first one coming up in a couple of years. So again, they've got a laundry list of players over the course of the next 5-10 years that are going to be paid handsomely. They won't be getting the top dollar that players are getting now, but they will be paid well. So what does that mean down the road? So you've got to guard against overspending initially and play that game where you line up your stars, your potential talent, and line them up accordingly so you have that nucleus to be competitive at a good rate.
Nobody will mind in Montreal, provided that the Montreal Canadiens make a Stanley Cup final or they win a Stanley Cup. Otherwise, guess what? These guys are going to say, it's not happening here. We'll go somewhere where money is. But let's hope for the Habs, and you and I are both Hab fans, that that's not for a while yet. I think Montreal is on the right course, but we'll have to see how that all works out. And last but not least, we always tell people when we come on here, sports is moving all the time. And people probably think, God, these old guys are crazy. What do they know about that? That's nuts.
You're younger than I am.
Yeah, but I'm still old. You're a young guy compared to me. You look like the young guy. But let me tell you, no more could I say it than today. I'm sitting here, I'm watching soccer, I'm watching Brazil and Norway, and I'm checking out my phone. All of a sudden, I go, Florian Balogun, his suspension's been rescinded. I go, what happened here? And then I look into it. Guess who gets involved in the World Cup? Donald Trump calls Gianni Infantino. Hey, Gianni, you got to look after my boy Balogun. He got a one-match suspension for a red card. You can't do that. And of course, what happens? Da-da-da-da. Balogun, he's eligible to play tomorrow night. And let me tell you, I had a good chuckle because the Belgian Football Association, the team USA is playing tomorrow night, said the Belgian Football Association is astonished at what took place with FIFA. Well, Rick, I can tell you, our European people, our European cousins, they're getting a good taste of what happens in North American soccer. You've got Donald Trump, and then you've got the Mexicans carrying on like crazy people in Mexico City, just trying to distract the English players before that big World Cup quarterfinal that's going to play in a few more minutes. What do you think about all this?
Okay, so number one, sports, no business in politics and vice versa. I'm sorry. I mean, some people may disagree, but as far as Donald Trump is concerned, you'll know what I mean when I say, you know what, there's this no business. He has no business interfering in what's going on, even though the United States, Mexico, and Canada are all co-hosting this tournament. So yes, Mr. Trump, I'll take that under advisement. You stick to your ruling. I'm sorry, you can't be pulling this at this stage. If you're looking at the group stage, maybe. Not now. Not now. If this player comes up and scores a game-winning goal, what does that say? And the thing is, I don't agree with sports and politics intermingling. In some cases, it has happened, but no, 1,000 no's shouldn't be happening. And the thing is, I hope that Belgium uses this as motivation and knocks the Americans out. Plain and simple. Then Donald Trump, the host American organization, will be sitting back watching on the sidelines as Belgium advances.
Well, you can be sure that Belgium will have plenty of additional motivation that they may not have had prior to today. And I'll say something else, and this is it. FIFA, they set themselves up for this. When you give Donald Trump, your Peace Prize, and you give Donald Trump a replica of the World Cup trophy, guess what? There's a message. You're in our pocket. I'm in your pocket. And it's a bad look. It's a bad look for FIFA, and it's a bad look for the global game of soccer.
Didn't Ronaldo get the benefit of the doubt from FIFA as well in terms of his term where he was earlier on in the tournament? I mean, he was subjected to a suspension and it kind of layered it down. Like really, come on, don't be changing your mind. Rob Mizuka, who runs the NOJHL, a good friend of mine, is probably shaking his head right now thinking, what's going on in professional sports? You don't do this. You run your league accordingly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I totally get it. But guess what? In the world of 2026, in the land of Donald Trump, everything goes. Right or wrong, that's how it is. But what's amusing me more is all these Europeans complaining about what people put up with in CONCACAF all the time. It's funny because they were talking on TSN earlier today about when Canada goes to Mexico. Do you think that the Mexicans treat the Canadians any different than they treat the English? No, this is standard operating procedure. If you can get the other team off their game, if you can get somebody to pull the fire alarm, if you can get them out of bed at 4 o'clock in the morning, if you can cause all kinds of ruckus and noise, it's all fair game in CONCACAF. I'm not saying it's right. It's probably contrary to the spirit of the rules, but what we find in CONCACAF many a time, there's rules and then there's the spirit of the rule. And I
Craig,
think
that was going on in the NHL with the original six. And as the years went by, so again, turn up the heat at Boston Garden for teams. Read many a story about Montreal going on about too much heat, cold showers, and what have you. It's been done before. The Mexicans just take it to a higher level. It's all fun and games, but the thing is, it's certainly a lot better, a lot more fun to talk about than Donald Trump's interference, tentative possible interference, future interference in the game of soccer, which I like a lot more now, having watched the World Cup. And I thought I enjoyed it before, but I'm enjoying this one. I just don't like the political ramifications.
no, I don't either. But one thing I'll say, politics, I agree with you. No place in soccer. Gamesmanship, hey, I'm okay with that. It's the home field advantage. It's been done a million times in every sport. But here's the good news for our viewers. There's no gamesmanship here. We tell the truth. We don't BS people. It's how it is. That's why it's no spin and we say it like it is. So I want to thank you for coming today and sharing your insights. Been a lot of fun. And as we always say on this channel, if you can't play a sport, be a sport. Talk soon.
Thanks, Greg.